Did you know that the face smiling at you from every bucket of KFC chicken belonged to a man who failed at almost everything until he was 65? This isn't just a story about fried chicken. It's a story about a relentless spirit that refused to be defeated. Harland Sanders was born in 1890, and his life was a roller coaster of misfortune. At just 5 years old, his father passed away, forcing his mother to work and leaving young Harland to cook for his siblings. This is where he first discovered his passion for cooking. But that passion wouldn't pay the bills for a very, very long time. He dropped out of school in the 7th grade, and his early adult life was a catalogue of failed careers. He was a steamboat pilot, a railroad fireman, a lawyer, a tire salesman, and even a midwife's assistant. Yes, you heard that right. He tried it all. Every time he started something, it seemed like fate conspired against him. He was fired from multiple jobs, and his legal career ended after a courtroom brawl with his own client. It felt like he was destined for a life of obscurity and failure. By the time he was 40, during the Great Depression, he was running a humble roadside motel and cafe in Corbin, Kentucky. It was here, in this small, unassuming kitchen, that he perfected the secret recipe of 11 herbs and spices that would one day conquer the world. Travelers loved his chicken. His reputation grew, and he was even named an honorary Kentucky colonel by the governor for his contribution to the state's cuisine. Things were finally looking up. He built a bigger restaurant. Things were going well. But then, disaster struck again. A new interstate highway, I-75, was built, completely bypassing his restaurant. His once thriving business dried up overnight. At 65 years old, Harland Sanders was broke. He was living off a Social Security check of just $105 a month. For most people, this would be the end of the road, a time to retire, to accept defeat. But Harland Sanders was not most people. He looked at his situation. He had his small Social Security check, a car, and his incredible chicken recipe. He thought if people couldn't come to his chicken, he would take his chicken to them. So, at an age when most are winding down, Colonel Sanders started the most ambitious chapter of his life. He got in his car and began driving across the country. He would walk into restaurant after restaurant, dressed in his iconic white suit and string tie, carrying his pressure cooker and his secret blend of herbs and spices. He'd offer to cook his chicken for the restaurant owner and their staff. If they liked it, he would make a deal. For every piece of his chicken they sold, he would get a nickel. It was a grueling process. Imagine a 65-year-old man sleeping in his car, facing rejection day after day. He was told no over and over again. Doors were slammed in his face. Restaurant owners laughed at him. They thought he was a crazy old man in a ridiculous suit. The official story is that he was rejected 1,009 times. 1,009 no's before he got his first yes. But that first yes from a restaurant in Salt Lake City, Utah, was the spark that lit the fire. That first franchisee, Pete Harmon, was the one who coined the name Kentucky Fried Chicken. Soon, one yes turned into 2, then 10, then 100. The power of his recipe was undeniable. The taste was irresistible. Within just a few years, there were over 600 KFC franchises across the United States and Canada. Colonel Sanders had created a phenomenon. He was no longer a failed businessman. He was a national icon. He was in the commercials, his face was on the bucket, and his story was an inspiration. He had turned his greatest failure into his most spectacular success. But here's the twist you weren't expecting. While the Colonel built the brand, the pressure of managing a rapidly growing global empire became too much. In 1964, at the age of 74, he sold the company to a group of investors for $2 million. which is about 19 million in today's money, plus a lifetime salary to remain the face of the company. You'd think he'd be happy, right? He was wealthy, famous, and had secured his legacy. But the story doesn't end there. The Colonel, a perfectionist obsessed with quality, soon became his own company's biggest critic. The new owners were focused on cutting costs and maximizing profits. They changed his sacred gravy recipe, telling him his original version was too expensive and time-consuming. The Colonel was furious. He would famously visit KFC locations unannounced, and if the food wasn't up to his standards, he would throw it on the floor and call it slop. He even told a newspaper reporter that the new gravy tasted like wallpaper paste. The company he had sold, the very company that carried his name and face, actually tried to sue him for libel. Can you believe it? The founder being sued by his own creation for demanding quality. The lawsuit was eventually settled out of court, but it shows the fire that never left him. Harland Sanders wasn't just selling chicken. He was selling a piece of himself, a standard of excellence born from a lifetime of struggle. He continued to be the brand's ambassador, traveling 200,000 miles a year until he passed away at the age of 90. So, the next time you see the smiling face of Colonel Sanders, remember the man behind the logo. The man who faced 1,000 rejections, who started a global empire at 65, and who fought for his vision until the very end. His life teaches us that it's never too late to start, that failure is just a stepping stone, and that true passion can never be bought or sold. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as I did, do us a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories you thought you knew. See you in the next one.